What is the primal core of a human being? Consider this fundamental nature is the universe of change. If we believe that a primal core is an idea rather than a physical thing, then emotions would be as good a place as any to look. I believe that emotions are more of a primal motivating preconscious or subconscious actualizer selecting horseshoe toss approximate right responses to external challenges or stimuli. In reading Quine's philosophy of logic, I went over the notion of words as phonemes and sounds. The grammarians assemble into rules of construction such that our language to convey meanings might be simpler. Quine wrote that grammarians care not about truth, but that logicians can, as they compare categorical expressions and corresponding values. If words are phenomenally malleable, then how can a primal core be associated with that? I would venture the opinion that an existential fact of being, a human being in any form, is itself primal rather than secondary. An amoeba is primal without any thought at all. Human beings must do equally as well. Thus, the derivative primal core of phenomenal intelligence is as good as anything else for primal nature. Einstein's general theory is raw intelligence. The thought of Pauli, Dirac, and Heisenberg were brute expression of good ideas such as might lift the primal human core from the swamp of ignorance into the realm of quantum field theory, and not QED and extra-dimensional field travel right away. Primal cores might be those blood and gut elements that exist as one steps onto a spaceship without awareness of transcendental morphing factors risked. It is these sorts of primal cores I worry about being violated by pollutants and additional transmorphology of adverse reconstruction. If a primal core is an original condition, biological being, then any facing transition through adulteration of the core toward a composite being will annihilate the core. One might have an infinite number of text strings sewn within a primal core and transition to another entity of a pluralistic construction. I think it's time we check out the library shelves of the city cliff of the Neo Geo's lush. Rupturing of sublots of mass by extra-dimensional extrusion seems to be statistically increasing too fast to disregard. Let's research what we can with the Neo Geo database. Nearly 2 centuries before Soul time, intellectual property rights had been altered in order to accelerate ecological economic recovery efforts. Instead of 95-year patents for transnational corporations and equally absurd patent rights time periods for socially generated ideas, it was decided by remaining democracies of Earth that 7 years would be the time period, non-renewable too, for patents and copyrights, with ideas registered becoming public domain thereafter. Inventors would be given 10% gross revenues for any idea exploited from the public domain for a century as well. Such a radical revision of intellectual property rights assured that inventions and ideas could be used quickly by the national economies of the world to accelerate ecological economic growth, and that more inventions made by combining new public domain ideas could be synthesized, further accelerating inventions. Inventors were well protected and received increased revenues by the more general applications of their ideas than in the exclusive for generations procedures that retarded global ecological security and supported oligopolistic corporatist business and management cartels. Because democracy withered under transnational corporatism, the change to a freedom of ideas regime released too many sudden inventions for the corrupt federal governments of the worlds to control. Some of the initial population crash of the old Earth was brought by the chaos, subdiscipline of federal weapon systems and compulsory health care data provisioning for the poor that enabled the world's corporations to delete selected Americans. Reactionary self-survivalism as a resistance moment followed, and wars of Western individualism versus Eastern globalism intensified. We walked into the transport tube and arrived in a ghost village on the distal side of the planet in a couple of minutes of acceleration and deceleration. The intelligent particle transport field read our thoughts for destination goals. There was little to say to the transport passage duration, in which existential experience was reduced to immersion with the field. Sky shadows and slowly illuminated cords changing colors from exotic light extrusions presented our archaeological village in variegated perspectives implicitly, altering the temporal appearance from one of a museum to that of a living, inanimate present. Lush and I walked through the village, over the hexagonal heat absorption tiles and upon a couple of transparent dimensional steps to the open door of the village library. Inside the library door, our footsteps crunched on broken glass in the familiar empty hallway. Reaching office 314, the broken auto slide door angled 2/3 open. Inside the office was a long curved table with much of our data. Device material composites rested upon it. The view from the panoramic windows of the empty city below was breathtaking. With a word, temporal field windows shattered for a while before reassembling behind us after we passed to step out onto a regional library particle sky bridge for transition to the library of the world. We edged out onto another transparent and substantial surface 50 stories above a pulsing energy storage field. Above and below the library entrance were 49 floors of data storage with as many answers as could be contained in the quantum computer occupying the area. Lush was fairly good at languages and interpreting alien data structures. She could decompress algorithmic mysteries with the best of the meaning and logic compressors in the imperial bureaucracy of Bly's luck, yet was free and unencumbered of lifelong technical appliances. Lush, the liberation of ideas brought a rapid acceleration to my second home planet Earth's economy a few lifetimes ago. One combination of ideas sent a cryogenic gravity wave detector aboard a small stable spacecraft around intense gravity fields, such as that of our central star, with various gap sizes between special mass, to seek to discover the frequency of gravity waves. Changes in the time oscillation of the masses were communicated back to a control station at light speed as the Gravity Wave Observatory changed locations with its differently size-configured wave-measuring devices. In time, the size of a gravity wave was discovered, and that discovery would bring many changes to science, but not upon the Earth as the wars of the chaos overtook our world. I brought some of the data to my own world, Mars, when I escaped the Earth during the final evolution of conflicts to defend my own civilization from a mad emperor seeking absolute power. Perhaps that data I brought about the Graviton could be found in this library of the Neo